At a company gate, a flatbed truck enters the premises when the unsecured load shifts and moves off the side as stability is lost. High on a drilling rig platform, a worker steps near the rotating assembly, while a loose SRL line trails into the operating zone of the moving steel. Never, ever allow fall protection lines or SRLs to enter the operating zone of rotating machinery. Any loose line can be caught and rapidly drawn into motion. Worker died in explosion at wastewater treatment plant. Deep inside a wastewater treatment facility, pressurized tanks and gas lines operate quietly until a sudden release of stored energy breaks through the system. Never, ever ignore gas monitoring and pressure control inside wastewater treatment plants. Inside a textile machine line, fabric feeds through heated rollers when accumulated fibers ignite beneath a machine as heat builds in the system. Do not allow flammable textile material to accumulate near heated rollers or mechanical drive. In a warehouse lane, a pickup truck tows a forklift forward. Then the truck suddenly stops and starts rolling backward. Never, ever stand between or near connected vehicles during towing unless both units are fully controlled, aligned, and protected against rollback. During towing, both the pickup truck and the forklift become a connected moving system, with force transferring through the tow connection. If the lead vehicle suddenly stops without secure braking control, gravity, slope, drivetrain release, or loss of hold can allow it to roll backward, reversing the force direction through the tow line or hitch. That sudden change creates a dangerous compression and movement zone between the two machines. Because both vehicles carry mass and momentum, even a short backward roll can close distance instantly and turn the tow path into a high-force hazard area. Control both machines before the tow begins and maintain full braking stability. Rollback can reverse force instantly and turn controlled motion into a dangerous compression zone. Always confirm both vehicles are secured before initiating or stopping movement. At a residential neighborhood, workers stand along the edge of a deep trench when the soil wall suddenly collapses inward. Never, ever work inside or near an unprotected trench without proper shoring, sloping, or trench support systems. Excavated soil loses its natural structural stability once it is cut vertically. Gravity, vibration, and moisture can weaken the soil wall, causing sections of earth to suddenly shear and slide into the trench. When this happens, large volumes of soil can move instantly, filling the excavation space before workers have time to react. Always use trench protection systems before entering or working near excavations. Unstable soil can collapse without warning. Never assume soil stability without proper reinforcement in place. In a cramped factory line, a worker reaches into an operating machine to adjust something while the mechanism is still moving. Never, ever place your hands inside operating machinery without stopping and isolating the equipment first. Inside a truck workshop, a raised cab is held in position for maintenance. When hydraulic support fails and the structure drops under its own weight, never ever work under a raised truck cab unless a mechanical safety lock or support bar is engaged. Truck cabs tilt forward using hydraulic cylinders to expose the engine compartment for maintenance. These systems rely on hydraulic pressure to hold the cab in position. If pressure leaks, a valve fails, or the cab is not secured with a mechanical lock, gravity immediately pulls the cab downward. Because the cab pivots on front hinges and carries substantial mass, the center of gravity rotates rapidly toward the ground once support is lost, driving the motion downward. In a rough construction yard, a telehandler reverses across uneven ground. Then the machine shifts off balance as the terrain drops beneath one side. Do not drive heavy equipment across uneven terrain without stabilizing the machine and maintaining level ground. Heavy equipment stability depends on maintaining its center of gravity within the support base of its wheels. On uneven terrain, one side of the machine can lose support as the ground drops or shifts. This changes the distribution of weight, pushing the center of gravity outside the stability zone. Once this happens, rotational force increases and gravity pulls the machine toward the unsupported side, accelerating the tipping motion.
This shift happens rapidly as ground support is lost unevenly, leaving little time to correct the imbalance once tipping motion begins.
Inside a pipe assembly station, a worker leans over the machine frame while the automated assembly head suddenly cycles downward. Never, ever work inside an automated machine while the system remains active or capable of cycling. Inside a chemical processing area, a worker mixes chemicals in a drum when a sudden ignition causes a flash of flame at the opening. Do not mix flammable or reactive chemicals without proper grounding, ventilation, and ignition control. Vapor buildup during mixing can ignite instantly. Mixing chemicals increases agitation, which accelerates evaporation and releases a concentrated vapor layer above the liquid surface. If these vapors are flammable, they can quickly mix with air and reach an ignitable concentration, especially around an open drum. At the same time, movement of liquids, tools, and containers can generate static electricity. Without proper grounding, this charge can discharge as a spark, igniting the vapor cloud and causing a rapid flash from the drum opening. Because the vapor layer concentrates near the drum opening, ignition at that point allows flame to propagate outward rapidly through the surrounding vapor-air mixture. Control vapor buildup and eliminate ignition sources before mixing begins. On a roadside, workers prepare equipment for a roofing job when a pressurized gas hose suddenly ruptures and begins to move unpredictably under released pressure. Do not operate pressurized gas equipment without inspecting hoses and connections for damage or wear. During forklift unloading from a truck ramp, the edge suddenly collapses as the truck rolls forward, creating a gap that pulls the machine downward out of support. Never unload forklifts from a truck unless the vehicle is secured and the ramp edge is fully supported. As a forklift transitions from the truck bed to the ramp, its weight shifts toward the edge, concentrating force on a small contact area. If the truck moves even slightly, the support alignment breaks, creating a gap between surfaces. This removes structural support under the wheels while the forklift's center of gravity continues forward. Once the support is lost, gravity pulls the machine downward and the imbalance quickly develops into tipping motion. As the front wheels lose support, the rear weight continues forward, increasing tipping force and accelerating the loss of stability. Secure the truck and stabilize the ramp before unloading begins.
Inside a warehouse loading bay, a worker rolls a massive paper coil across the floor until it creates a powerful moving pinch zone along its path. Never place your feet in the rolling path of heavy industrial coils. Inside a machine shop, a large rotating shaft spins on a heavy lathe. Then the cutting tool suddenly catches metal and the workpiece breaks into uncontrolled motion around the spindle. Never ever approach or adjust a rotating lathe workpiece while the machine is running. Inside a muddy trench, an excavator bucket pushes a worker into saturated soil, sending the loose ground mass surging forward under hydraulic force. Never ever stand inside an excavation while an excavator is operating above or beside it. Excavator buckets apply strong hydraulic force when pushing or displacing soil. In saturated or loose conditions, soil cohesion is reduced, allowing material to move as a flowing mass rather than a stable structure. When force is applied, the soil can suddenly surge forward due to reduced friction and gravity, pulling it into lower areas. This creates rapid ground movement that expands beyond the immediate contact point of the bucket. Inside a demolition room, a narrow wall opening is used as a standing surface, while overhead material is being broken loose from the ceiling above. Do not stand directly under demolition work or on unstable openings. In a busy demolition yard, stacked materials sit beneath an elevated load when the large box-shaped object suddenly drops as support is lost. Never ever stand beneath or beside suspended or stacked loads during lifting or demolition operations. Heavy loads stored or lifted above ground contain gravitational potential energy. If the support, balance, or restraint fails, gravity accelerates the mass downward instantly with little warning. Always stay outside the drop zone of elevated loads. Gravity turns unstable loads into instant hazards.
Don't forget to share what you learned today in the comments. Your insight could save a life. Take care.